LeBron James! LeBron James!
Ball under his gear, bro.
It's LeBron! He just met LeBron
Man, I tell you what, Michael and Mark Spears from Anscape, with every news update from Texas, I can't tell you how much I needed to see that scene from a school. That's what school is supposed to be about. That is what it's all about. Usually this time of year, at least over the last 15 years, LeBron James, we're talking about him in the finals. Obviously, he's not there, but yet he's still winning nonetheless. And Spears, listen, before we get to the conference finals, the Warriors, and then whatever's left of the Eastern Conference Finals, while we're on the subject of LeBron, let's touch on the people chasing the Warriors once again. Starting with the Lakers, I'm curious, what do you know about their head coaching search?
Not a lot, bro. They're keeping it real close to the vest.
Sometimes it's that simple.
Hey, man, I ain't got to lie, right? Just somebody I'm really intrigued by. You know, former assistant coach there, certainly is paid his dues. I know that they're, in terms of David Fizdale and Phil Handy, the guys on staff that probably should get a look, they're not getting a look, which is certainly disappointing for some other guys who have been paying their dues as well. But it's a very long search, interesting search in terms of LeBron James' impact on it. I'm not quite certain how much they're letting him be involved in it, but obviously if Mark Jackson is someone that's interviewed, you know, that certainly has LeBron James written all over it. So it's kind of went a little longer than perhaps it should. You would think that they would like to get someone in before the draft. So yeah. I would expect sooner rather than later they would get this done.
And then on a, somewhat related note, some people have viewed him as maybe the next LeBron from a skill set standpoint. Of course, Luka Doncic exceeded expectations from a playoff standpoint with going to the Western Conference Finals, I beg your pardon. Jason Kidd had some comments last night that many took as a referendum or commentary on what Luka still needs to improve upon if the Mavericks want to be regulars this time of year. And here's Jason Kidd, and we'll get your reaction to that. What did you take from that comment, Spears? And how do the Mavs take it to the next level?
Well, I mean, I guess you could vaguely think it's about the whole team, but maybe, as you guys seem to be alluding to it, I would agree with it that he's, talking about Luka. He seemed to tire as the game went on. And in order to be, I think, elite in this league, LeBron James certainly learned it from Kobe when he went to the 2008 Olympics. You got to be in elite shape. And so, you can't just be young and think that's good enough. I mean, that's what's kept Chris Paul's longevity in the league, kept Melo around is, they're probably much lighter than they were at the beginning of their careers. So I think Luka needs help, and I believe Nico Harrison, the president, and Michael Finley will get that help for him. But on this level, man, yeah, you have to be on tip-top shape. And I think another thing that Jason Kidd has been pushing for him is to be a better defender. and push them to be great on both ends and not just one end of the court.
Yeah, that's true. I'm wondering, Mark, because of your background with the East Bay, you know this area very well. The Warriors winning. What does it mean? What does it mean to that franchise, longtime followers, especially of that franchise? They were beaten down for a while. They always had good players come in. They lose the good players. Going back to the Run TMC days, to just on and on. They all, Chris Webber. They had a lot of good players come through there, but they were never able to put it together. What is this sixth, championship appearance? What does this mean for that area?
Well, for the kids, y'all kids' age, they think this is the norm, right? Mm-hmm. But I remember growing up in the Bay in the lean years, watching on black and white TV, Channel 36. They were horrible. They were horrible for a long time. And the fans here would get excited if they're only 4 games out of the 8th spot with a month left. Maybe that was the expectations. And now the expectations are such that it's championship or bust. And so it's been amazing turnaround for them. If you didn't know better, this has been the case for a while because of Steph Curry, because of Klay, because of Draymond. And if you look at the young guys on their team, like, this isn't coming to an end. The window is not closing. This isn't the end. Like, Wiggins is 27. Who, I think he could drink. He barely could drink now, right? Kuminga, Moody. And look, the same thing that happened to Joel Embiid, where he missed the first couple of years and then became a superstar, I think is going to happen with James Wiseman. I really believe that James Wiseman's going to be a problem in this league once he could get healthy. And they certainly could use him right now. So, no, this isn't the end. This isn't the end. I see them contending for several years to come. And this is a Spurs-like dynasty where you have stars like David Robinson to Tim Duncan to Tony and Ginobili to Kawhi pass the torch around for about 2 decades before the well ran dry.
So they're back in the finals for a 6th time in 8 years. But there's a little bit of business left, and that is to win the whole thing before we start celebrating a return. As Draymond said last night, as we all expect, based on the last game, based on the way the series is playing out, it looks like it's going to be the Celtics. But I struggled. I struggle, and I know Michael agrees with this. I struggle to assume that the Celtics will get this over with. I mean, or have the Heat, talk about being run down and being, just beat up, have the Heat just simply run out of gas and we're looking at a potentially classic Warriors-Celtics final?
I'm not giving up on the Heat. Jimmy Butler is great with his back against the wall. I know that Heat culture, they're going to fight. Yeah, right. PJ Tucker's going to fight. Kyle Lowry's going to fight. I also do know, and you guys do know this, that playing in Boston can be one of the more intimidating places to play in the league. When you're the visiting team and when you're the home team, they lift you up when you're down. They keep you in it. They keep you energized. So there's definitely an amazingly large home court advantage here that if the Celtics do take a lead, that energy could lead them back to the finals. But there is certainly some pressure, and you guys know this, man. There's nothing like walking into that venue and seeing all those banners on top of you, seeing all them retired jerseys, and knowing the standard that comes with wearing that Boston Celtics uniform. So to me, that kid you're showing right now, Tatum, this is his trademark night where he walks into the door with Larry Bird, Havlicek, other great small forwards in that franchise's history. He has to lead them there. And I definitely think that, one, he has the talent to do it, but 2, he needs to do it because this team needs rest. They don't need to play in a Game 7. They don't need to go down to Miami and then fly. They got to fly across the country, whatever team wins. So they need to, man, they need to get that training room and turn it off for a second. Trust me, Draymond Green going to have a real nice bottle of wine tonight watching that game with his feet up and his little boy next to him, right? Like they're resting, and Gary Payton's going to be back. Porter's going to be back. The Celtics need that rest too if they want to win a championship.
Spears, of these two teams, my last question for you before we let you go. Between these two teams, who matches up best with the Warriors?
You would think that the Celtics did because everybody points to their size, but the Celtics were also 21st in points in the paint in the league. So I think their size can be deceptive. I think it's helpful for them defensively because, in terms of Robert Williams, if he's healthy in a shot blocking sense, and, Theis, if he's healthy, Horford. But I do think that Adebayo would probably give them more problems inside. I don't think the Warriors right now have anything to stop that. Jimmy Butler is a problem. The defense of PJ. So as crazy as this might sound, I mean, they're both a problem. I think Miami probably matches up a little better if they're healthy.
All right. Good to see you healthy, brother. Thank you so much.
Surprised you, huh?
From Anscape.
Great artwork.
A little bit. Yes. Exceptional artwork. All right, man. We'll talk to you later. Take it easy.
And that sign, too, by the way.
Oh, that's a flex. That's a flex. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.